Hi, I'm Jill Renihan, Education Segment Development Manager for Axis Communications. I'm joined today by Wayne Davis, Network Solutions Engineer from Axis Communications. Today, we're going to talk a little bit about cloud solutions for schools, specifically video management systems, and how they help schools become safer, more secure, and operationally sound while maintaining student privacy. Before we jump into our conversation, Wayne, I just want to highlight some of the key benefits of schools, and we can talk more in detail about these as we go, and the areas that schools can consider when they migrate some of their on-prem solutions to the cloud. So those 5 key benefits include cost savings, more flexibility and reliability, IT simplification and scalability, student privacy, and authentic data retrieval. So I think we could expand both, though, on our backgrounds a little bit before jumping into the cloud solutions. So I came out of public education. I served a school district for more than 34 years. 6 of those, I was tapped to be the school security director. So I managed an upgrade and migration to full IP network cameras and solutions. And I know that for me, storage was a problem. So I think that will be something we can talk a little bit more about later. So why don't you tell us a little bit about your background and what led you to here today?
Well, Joe, I've been in the security industry for around 20 years. So started off in the UK, you tell by my accent, basically installing cameras, things like that back in the analog days, and have really followed the technology all the way through to now. I've been at Axis for coming up to 11 years, held a number of different roles there around training, education, also within pre-sales as well. And for the last 3 years, I've been in the US and I have a role with solution engineering. And this is really around market feedback for our technologies. And the particular part of the portfolio I look after is our VMS portfolio. So this is really understanding how our customers, our end customers, our integrators are using our software. What are the needs that we don't have within our product, and how do we develop the right solutions in the future to meet these set of needs? So I work really heavily with our development teams in Sweden, our product management, things like that, to make sure we have a defined roadmap to really bring out new products to meet the right solutions in the future.
So as a former end customer and now speaking for end customers, I really appreciate that explanation and that work. And the Axis VMS was one that I used, and I used an on-prem solution. For me, I wanted to make sure that I had video that I could access. And, but one model that's becoming more popular and that has some really good benefits is a hybrid model. Yeah. Can you talk to us more about what that does and how it meets some of those key benefits?
Yeah. So really, what we have with Axis Camera Station Pro, we have an on-prem VMS solution where everything is recorded locally. However, what we also have with Axis Camera Station Pro is the ability to have a connected service. And this is really where the hybrid approach comes in, because we really take the benefits of what cloud can offer, and we also take the benefits of what on-prem can offer too. With our connected services, for instance, we are really enabling secure remote access, easily accessible video from a browser, whether that be managing devices, whether that be viewing video and things like that. And also that can also lead into the kind of forensic piece as well. So whether you're a video operator, whether you're a system maintainer or administrator, there's areas that we can utilize the cloud for while still having the on-prem solution available for the more local operators, the storage which is more local to the particular environment where it's installed.
So one of the pieces I loved about ACS, which is Axis Camera Station, if people don't know, but one of the things I loved about it is it took all of our cameras, all of our door stations, it put them onto one platform that we could manage and we could watch. How does ACS Pro maintain that same model, or does it? And then does it expand at all?
Yeah, so ACS Pro really follows on from where we were with our previous version, Axis Camera Station 5. We introduced some major features when we launched ACS Pro last year around the connected services, but also utilizing more capability within our forensic search and also adding pieces around data insights as well, really collecting data from our devices. So Axis Camera Station Pro, like we had before, really integrates all of our devices seamlessly, whether it be the intercoms, whether it be our door controllers, where we have an Axis control solution in there, could be radar or even body worn. So really bringing all of our technologies seamlessly into one single pane of glass, which obviously from an integration point of view means that we have seamless integration, the ability to really create cause and effect scenarios from someone pressing an intercom or maybe some analytics on a camera, driving a speaker, driving maybe one of our IP strobes, things like that.
So that simplicity was, like, as I mentioned, really important for me. But the other piece you mentioned, forensic search, and I assume, you didn't say the word analytics, but I assume that includes the analytics, which for me, we had a customer success story, and it really was a customer success event where we used those analytics and smart search to be able to backtrack an item. We found a backpack on one of our campuses. When that backpack, unclaimed, unowned by anyone, was searched, what we also found inside of it was a magazine, a loaded magazine for a 9mm weapon, no matching weapon to go along with it. Yeah. So you can imagine on a school ground that could have created an hours-long situation where we were trying to determine who was that backpack connected to, what student. So using Smart Search, we were able to backtrack to exactly when that backpack was left behind and identify the person who had left it. Yeah. Within approximately 5 minutes, we identified the student. In 10 minutes, they had done enough interview with the school resource officer to know that that student did not have a matching weapon. They believed that at that point in time. So rather than it being, say, a 4 to 6 hour lockdown procedure that is a little bit terrifying for everybody on campus, it ended up being resolved very, very quickly. And analytics really helped make that possible. Can you talk more about how ACS Pro is going to make some difference, or cloud is going to help schools both, one, make those kinds of searches or use data in another way, in an operational efficiency kind of way, and then two, let's say that there had been a matching weapon where we needed a law enforcement kind of intervention and result, right, for that student. How does the forensic piece of this, being cloud-based, how does that still exist?
Yeah. So what's important here really is, firstly, the data is still on the server. So we keep the data authenticity basically in that on-prem solution. Then we're talking about the forensic bit, and you mention a really good point there, really the speed of finding what happened, particularly if you don't know when it happened, you don't really have a good time reference. Forensic search has really come a long way, because if we look at quite a few years ago, it would take a long time to scroll through video across many cameras to find when something happened. Okay, if you know the time, it can be a lot easier, but if you don't, it's a needle in a haystack. And I think this is where, particularly in the non-real-time environment, the forensic piece, where AI has played a really powerful part, because now we're able to basically index the metadata with the video, and that enables us to really find objects, find attributes really, really quickly, to be able to search for a human in a red top, or for a vehicle that's maybe a white color or something like that. And really what's happened in the last kind of year is we've just launched actually a free text search within our VMS. This is really, really powerful, because this really gives the operator the ability to literally type in with their own language what they're trying to search for. Could be any kind of attribute that's related to the object that they're trying to search for across many cameras. And this really speeds up that investigation time. And obviously this can be really important when we're trying to find when something happened. And this is also, because we've got connected services with ACS, this is also possible through our portal as well. So we have a portal which we're just about to launch at ISC called My Systems. And that enables us to go into the portal and basically do the forensic search there. We're still utilizing the data that's on the server, but we can do it remotely, and we can even add the power of free text search there as well. Again, the ability to really, like a Google search, type in what we're looking for within our system and be able to find out where that's actually happened.
So I've seen free text search in action, and was I blown away? Because again, you don't have to, in previous versions of searching, whether it was analog or even the older models, you had to find an image to then begin to compare to, right? And so that could be, again, you might be searching 2 weeks worth of video. And while you could speed that up to some degree, you were still talking. If you needed to search 12 hours of video, you were minimally talking a few hours of staff time. So when you add in things like free text search, where you can just type in the description that you've heard and look for it, look at all the staff time that gets back. So we could start talking about, operational efficiency to some degree there. But you mentioned something, and I think it's worth talking about. There's a bit of maybe a fear of artificial intelligence and analytics being that, and privacy, right? So, when you're talking about being able to log in and look at video from almost anywhere, right? How do we ensure that the data are protected, that student and staff privacy, is guarded?
Yeah. I think there are a number of pieces there, really. Firstly, it's really we're looking at the way that we use our user permissions, the way that we configure the system in the beginning to make sure that data is basically kept as securely as possible on the server side of things, but also from an access point of view, making sure we have the right level of cybersecurity, for instance, when it comes to multi-factor authentication, when you're logging into our cloud-based solution. So there's a number of elements which really go into ensuring that that data is maintained. It's only on the server, so we obviously keep it secure in that way, but also the accessibility of it as well is maintained through user-based permissions. And again, from the connected services part here is we can also use this to look at multiple or searches over multiple systems or sites as well, which maybe could be really useful in some cases, of course. I think there's also, from a vendor here, some responsibility that we have when we're utilizing AI, because although in this tool we can use any language to type in what we search for, actually what we do is when Axis loves standards, right? We love adopting standards. And actually there was an EU legislation that came out last year around AI and how it should be used. And we really adopt that within the free text search. And what this means is that we monitor for toxic language. So really what we prevent here is the user using certain words or descriptions where we believe them to be outside of what is really needed, and therefore we can monitor that and we don't let those kind of terms be used. So that comes in, that's another factor I think around AI is we use it in a good way because we can enable this free text search, but we're also using AI in a way to protect that as well and monitor what the user's putting in and making sure we follow kind of these guidelines and, protect from abuse, really.
You mentioned permissions-based use and multi-factor authentication. So from an operational efficiency standpoint, again, in a district, we had 3,200 employees. So managing who had permission and who didn't. So does this system, does ACS Pro and cloud-based system, does it work in the same way that it has in the past in terms of using Active Directory to help guide that? So nobody... It's by roles, right? Yeah. So nobody has to type in, let's add John Smith in and give him this permission, this permission. That is really time consuming when you start looking at a big system. So it does work. I'm just recapturing this. It does work with Active Directory, right? So that, again, operationally efficient use can be deployed. The other piece that I want to go back to just a second again is on that forensic information. So when I was the data keeper for all of our video requests, anytime we had a subpoena, I had to certify that that was a true copy. Right. So how do we ensure that the copies that are stored in the cloud somewhere have not been messed with by anybody, right? They have not been changed or altered in any way. How does Axis help ensure that?
Yeah, I mean, really, it's about following the right cybersecurity compliances and standards when it comes to any data that is that is kept within the cloud. Again, most of it in the forensic piece is actually on the server level. That's where we still do the searches. We just enable the capability from the cloud, really, as an access point via a browser, rather than actually taking any data there. We do offer, if we're looking at the storage side of things, which we kind of talked about at the beginning a little bit, offering the ability to have redundant cloud storage. People still like to know that their data is on premise, and that's obviously absolutely fine. But actually what we do with our connected service is offer a different additional service. Maybe you've got some cameras where you want to store in the cloud for a period of time. And this is something that we enable with ACS Pro, because then if something does happen on the server level for whatever reason, then we've still got that backup in the cloud. And again, this is about following the right compliances and standards. We're SOC 2 Type 1 in the cloud. So it's looking at how we kind of maintain the level of security there, but having the option to have this kind of cloud-based redundancy for storage, has been something that we've added to Axis Camera Station Pro, and we find that kind of quite popular. It's obviously working in that hybrid approach again, right? It's having the best of both worlds. I get the best of what's on-prem, and I also get the ability to store in the cloud when and if I want to.
So with on-prem storage, it's typically time limited, right? I might have stored video for 90 days. That was pretty typical. With Axis, quite honestly, in the compression, I got a lot more than that. But that was what my goal was, right? But with the cloud, I would imagine if things are not stored on-prem on those servers, they're not going to be overwritten by a timely, broadcast of or uploading a video, right? They're going to exist there for a long time. And the data is owned by the customer. Is that accurate as well? Yes. Okay, good. Yeah.
I was just going to actually pull up on another thing is we talked about operational efficiency earlier. And I think this is where with ACS Pro, we have this data insights dashboard, right? And we talk about analytics as well. And we have the analytics from a forensic piece, which can be really useful. But we also have the kind of analytics in the real time as well. And also looking at what's really happened within our system. And our data insights dashboard can be really useful in this operation efficiency aspect, where we're maybe taking real-time analytics that are doing counting on the edge. Maybe we bring that into a dashboard so we can see trends through different doors when in an occupancy scenario, or understanding the flow of students within the campus. So I think that's really important, is how we present data, how we use the analytics maybe to notify someone, great. But what about understanding the trends of actually what's going on and how people move around the campus? I think we see that more and more. And we don't always have to look at the kind of security element there as well. We can look at other things. So we have like analytics which are around our image health. And image health is really, really important, making sure that our cameras are in focus, they're not underexposed, things like that. They haven't been moved, because this will affect the outcome of the analytics. So adding in the data from our from our image health analytics into our dashboard as well, giving kind of an approach of, we can look at the occupancy and that kind of side of things from an operational efficiency, but we can also look at it from a maintenance point of view and understand maybe certain cameras being redirected, or maybe some are underexposed. And again, this is more helping for the proactive kind of maintenance side of things. And if we look at the cloud aspect as well, what do we get from connecting it up to the cloud? Or really we get more of a wider perspective of our whole assets and understanding the devices, understanding what maybe warranty periods, or understanding the life cycle. So this further improves that kind of operational efficiency piece when it comes to the maintenance aspect and device management specifically.
So here's a security example, but it's one that occurs to me in terms of those data insights and trends. One of the situations you and I talked about before was if, say, somebody approaches a door that should not be really used throughout a school day, or at any time. It might be for authorized personnel only, but we have people approaching that door. So we could use the camera and we could draw crossing lines so that we get notified. Anytime somebody approaches that door, we can trigger an automated announcement that says, this is an unauthorized area, please proceed to the main office or the main entrance. But we could also then get some data out of that, hey, this has happened 3 times in the past month. Then perhaps better signage is in order, right? That can give us some information, because someone gets triggered, they get told to go to the right, entrance. And then they're probably dispatching some security professionals to respond to make sure everything's still kosher, right? But this could tell us that we need either better signage, or, for example, we might need a further out perimeter that stops somebody from even getting to that door. Maybe a gate and some fencing that stops them even from approaching that door, right? The data could tell us that. Data could tell us when a crowd is gathering, maybe in a courtyard. And I heard this example shared with me as well, that actually came out of stadiums, but I thought would be appropriate for, say, a college food court area, where which place are people going to? Are they going but then making a decision not to buy, but going to a different vendor, right? So we know something about whether or not that vendor is contributing as much or gaining as much income. So it could be used that way to just track the migratory patterns of people, and then the gathering patterns. And then there are some other analytics that go along with our sensors, and some notifications that we might get through those. What could you tell us about that?
Yeah, from ACS Pro, we have the ability to create these cause and effect scenarios, being able to bring in, like you said, really all of our sensors, whether that be radar in a perimeter perspective, whether it be some analytics on the camera, bringing all of this information and really delivering to operators a notification. And this is something that could be via push notification to a mobile phone, and we're actually bringing in more notifications into our cloud solution as well. So there's more capabilities there. So obviously having that kind of real-time notification that something's going on is really important.
So I guess to sum up, cloud servers can be used, among other things, to store, retrieve video, audio and metadata from surveillance systems, video and audio streams or data from IP-connected devices. They can provide endless possibilities, such as for analytics and actionable intelligence, right? So taking data and turning it into information. That's what this can help do. So we can apply those across all parts of the campus, and that goes from the spectrum of K-12 to higher ed. Higher ed is like cities, right? So it can use all of those data points. With the right partner and procedures, cloud solutions can lead to increased security at any school. So thank you, Wayne, for your time today. And if you'd like more information, we encourage you to scan the QR code on the screen now.